Um, yeah, I'm good. It's busy. Well, so much going on, man. And I'm sure you talked to Kenny. We just have like a million landing pages and email marketing campaigns and PDFs and programs
Mm-hmm.
and social media and just like it's a lot of stuff coming up on Black Friday. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I don't know.
I think seeing all the background stuff is super. I mean, so many people are always impressed. Actually, I had someone reach out and want to know about the Love and Thunder podcast. Do you have any news on the next episode?
Yeah, we have. I know that I probably know who this is. This is Rick Henover. It's
Yeah.
like, when's the next Love and Thunder? So we filmed 4 hours with Mike Danheim, and man, he's amazing. He's got a great story. It's really stuff that's out there. So he's had like out of body experiences. He does stuff with like meditation and mindfulness. He developed this consciousness app, and he's actually working with a few guys in Thunderbro for like, I don't even, it's kind of like under the realm of like self-healing, but he does like meditation breathwork sessions with these guys. So we're trying to set Mike up so that we can actually in some ways bring him into the business, so that if you're going to thunderbro.com, you've got training, you've got nutrition, you got medical, and then you have this kind of spiritual consciousness stuff you can get into if you're feeling like you need to work on that. But we've been putting out teaser clips from the podcast, and the full podcast is not up yet. We're going to drip them one at a time because we got like 3 of them, and they're all like an hour, and they're all amazing. Like the stuff, it's hilarious podcast too, because I'm really curious. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, tell me about that. Like, what the hell does that mean? Have you spoken to aliens? Like, but it was good. It's coming, probably not till after Black Friday, but we're in the pipeline for that. So tell Rick, stand by, and we'll do an email blast too. We've been teasing it, and the clips are great. And we want to get Mike set up too, so we can also have people be able to find him, because he's such a great, the guy deals with like a lot of people that have like PTSD, addiction, people who just want to perform their best. And honestly, just people who are maybe like they're suffering and they don't understand why. So.
I think everyone's heart is a little bit different, whether you're, a veteran that would, deployed into combat, or, someone that just, lost someone in the family. I think everyone's heart is their heart. I think it's a really special thing to say.
Yeah, it's not a good climate for mental health either. Like in our culture, there's very little attention put on developing the intuitive parts of our intelligence. Everything is more like logical, right? Like math and skills and physical world, but there's very little work on, your head and your heart, and so that's kind of what Mike does, is he like helps you kind of get in touch with yourself a little bit.
Where do you think that that comes from, that like internal chemistry, especially like, as we get older?
What do you mean? Like the
like the mental health aspect of it. I think I feel like we see it so much now. Where do you think that stems from?
Well, I think the word that could best be used to describe it is, it's just an accumulation of crap. So like when you're young, you're pretty resilient, but I think that we're like, we don't live really the way we were designed to live. We weren't designed to be on screens all day, looking at other people's lives, being so self-focused, being so out of touch with nature, being constantly stimulated, being constantly divided, playing to our emotions. Like imagine, right? Like Mike used this analogy, but it's a great one. It's like, if you were to get scared before all the stuff we have today, you'd probably be like walking through a jungle and you'd see a tiger and you get scared, right? And your adrenaline would spike, and you'd have this physiological response, and so you'd run away real fast, and then everything would be fine again, right? But now there's no tiger. The tiger is being planted in your head constantly. And sometimes you are the tiger, right? So it takes this idea of like a physiologic response, and it's just like the way we overdo it with food, where you like overstimulate hormones like insulin, and now you get sick. It's like you just kind of in a constant state of stress, because it's your mind can't tell the difference between a physical stress and a psychological stress. It's just stress. So if we're always stressed and we're always in this alarm state, then we're gonna get sick. and that sickness comes out sometimes like physical sickness. Sometimes it comes out as like depression and anxiety, or just this sense that like, you're not okay. And then even some people are so used to not being okay that they don't even realize they're not okay, because they don't know what it is to feel good, because they're just always used to being jacked up. There's a lot of layers to it, I think. But the first step is kind of realizing like, hey, let me take a leap of faith and kind of see, like, explore what could breath work and meditation or just stillness and calm, like what a lot of people are like, well, that's a waste of time. I'm just not getting stuff done. I don't have time to do that. And our argument we were making in those podcasts were like, no. You don't not have time to do this. Like this is, this is paramount, because if you don't address this, not everything else is kind of fucked.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people, especially, people that are like business owners, or even just, a mom or a dad that are just, consumed with so many hours in a day getting stuff done, and not even stuff for them, but stuff for their family or their kids. How do you allow people to manage that, that reset, like, people that are either in cities or people that aren't, connecting with, maybe how we were designed to live? How do you tell people to go about that? Or
I think it would be the same as you would attack training or nutrition. You just like have a game plan for how you're going to incorporate it into your life, So like if you're in a city, okay, that's fine. Well, like, that's obviously not the best situation, but there's definitely things you can do. There are definitely places you can go, or, carving out time in your schedule. I think for a lot of it, it's not that people lack resources. They just lack discipline. It's like you can do it. You just need to be disciplined about it. It's not anything that's impossible to do. You kind of set those boundaries for yourself, and you set those rules for yourself, and you stick to them. And now, like, you're doing it. In fact, I think most of the big time mindfulness, kind of spirituality, consciousness coaches and practitioners are not located in the middle of nowhere. Most of them are located in big cities, right? So they're there. Mike was in Miami. Now he's here in Largo, but like, yeah.
And I think a lot of people will always kind of refer to whether it's like a meditation, and you would obviously go with that over some sort of, prescribed medication to control any sort of like depressions or anxieties. And you would say, hey, like maybe try some breath work first, or try going on a walk first.
Yeah, well, I had a hard time understanding. It was like, I think that the whole like meditation and breath work, to me, it kind of had a stigma around it. And I'm like, I don't have the patience for that. I don't have to do it. I didn't understand, like, that's one mechanism. Like, there are a lot of different ways to meditate, right? You think about like what meditating is. It's just kind of coming to a state of just stillness, right? And so like there are a lot of ways to do that. It doesn't have to be like sitting in Indian style with your hands, doing the thing. Like, there's just like, it's just calming, quieting your mind. I think for me, like, I like being in nature is one of the big ones for me, like going on those long hikes and stuff. I mean, that's like an instant reset. In fact, I would challenge anybody who thinks they're not feeling great to just like go on a long walk in the woods, and you'll feel 100 times better. And I think that's medicine, right? And it's actually showing you is like, yeah, you're not meant to live like this all the time. Like, you need this in your life more often. Just hearing like the crunch of, grains of sand and dirt on your feet, and hearing birds and just the sounds of a forest and the wind, and you're not looking at your phone or anything, but you're just kind of like there. And we have a hard time because we're so used to like being entertained that it's almost like creates anxiety to not be entertained. Right? Like, I gotta do something. It's like that's kind of like the first getting off the crack step, and you see it a lot with like kids these days too, where they can't sit at a table without having to have like a phone or a tablet or the game or something like that. They can't just like sit.
I think too, people, I mean, I've gotten questions before of the idea of, curing some sort of anxiety or curing some sort of depression. And I want to know your take on this. I think it's, we don't master athletics, right? We don't master fitness. I think that we constantly are working out every day to just get, a percent better. And I think we can do that mentally as well. And I think people get the stigma of like, oh, like, well, if I work out all the time, yeah, I feel better. But then I kind of go right back into that, depression again. And I guess, is there anything that you can like ease people to be like, hey, like this is just a constant journey and that nothing's going to be cured. It's just going to be a great way just to, stay healed every day, opposed to being like, great, I'm I'm not sad anymore.
No, it's really good. That's a really good question. I mean, this is like the clip of the day here, right?
Right.
There are mental health issues that just like some of them are severe. They do require like pharmaceutical intervention, or maybe they require pharmaceutical intervention at certain times when, things get really, really bad.
Yeah.
And the chemistry of the brain gets, really mucked up. For example, like bipolar disorder is a great example of that. Like, that's definitely one where you have these big ebbs and flows, and sometimes it just requires medical intervention. But I would say across the board, for what most people are dealing with, which is some expression of depression and anxiety, and understanding what those are, right? Depression is kind of like feeling sad or distraught about what has happened, right? Like a regret of the past. And then anxiety is this fear of what might happen in the future. And those two things kind of play on each other, right? Because we're like, well, if it happened before, it'll happen again. And, like one of the scenarios. And I think a lot of that suffering that comes from those is rooted in one fundamental concept, which is you're just too focused on yourself. Too focused on your problems. You're probably playing this problem in your head again and again. Like you're making this problem the center of the universe, right? And it's all you can think about. It's all you can feel. And it just keeps going around a circle, and you just keep going through the scenarios again and again. You keep getting whipped up again and again. And it almost becomes addictive because you're getting this emotional response and this cascade of all these things. And like, so I think fundamentally, if you can find a way to stop thinking about yourself so much, and maybe put yourself in a position where you can experience the general revelation and majesty of the world and creation and how small we are, like getting that big view, reducing your ego. I think that in almost all cases makes things better. So that's what I'm saying is like, yeah, like you can do that a number of different ways. Like you can go for a walk in the woods, you can express gratitude, you can do something nice for somebody else. Like, hey, if you want to feel better, here's the funniest thing. Go pay for the coffee in the person behind you on the Starbucks line. It's insane. It'll make you feel way better. I can't explain it. I don't know how, but I know that it has to do with, hey, I'm going to focus on someone else, take the focus off of me, and all of a sudden I'm not thinking about my problem so much. Right. So I think that's, that'd be the one core suggestion. And the principle of that, I think, is really the root cause of a lot of the suffering people feel when they are in a point where they're like dealing with, low to levels of depression and anxiety. And that's why, men's groups are so great, right? Like having support. That's why I think getting into spiritual practices is so great, because it makes it so that you're thinking about something greater than yourself. And then things like charity and just like, good deeds, good service. I think that's like, that really works. So yeah, try it out. I know it sounds silly.
No, Dave, that was, I think of every conversation.
I'm trying to volunteer. It's the first thing, Cam and I, now we realize how important that is. And so we approach that as the most important thing. is like, because we can't be good for anything else unless we have our heart posture in the right place. It's gonna go bad. So like for this holiday season, like we are stacked up with volunteer duties, we're stacked up with church responsibilities. Like we're just like trying as hard as we can to put ourselves into positions where we can where we can serve and things like that. And as a product of that, like we know that we're walking the right path and are able to be the people that we aspire to be. It's only when we get like become victim to ourselves and really start to go through this self-inflicted suffering that we stop becoming those people, and we start getting angry and frustrated and short and selfish and all those other things.
Wow.
Is that the topic today? What was the topic today, Anthony?
No, I had a topic, but I love just having a conversation and then just seeing where it goes. And I think when you brought up, no, I love stuff like that, and people are gonna love this. And
this started with people asking about when they're gonna hear Mike's podcast.
Yeah, that's like, it's like the rule of improv. You just go from one to the next, and then you just. I mean, that was really. I don't want to ask you anything else. I would love to end it there because that's really fantastic.
Well, for those of you guys that are heading into the holiday season, which is sometimes when this stuff is peaking. And I don't know why. I mean, the holiday season, I think part of that is the weather's getting colder and the days are getting shorter, and we're not outside as much, which again was kind of like what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And then there's just like a lot of pressure, Christmas, Thanksgiving, all the anxiety sometimes about being around family, or all the anxiety about not having family, right? Like feeling alone. This is peak mental health crisis season. So, take it with a grain of salt, try something out, go on that Thunderbird Daily Lifestyle Journal, or sign up, pay for the coffee for the person behind you.
Yeah. Get your days of thunder, boys.
There it is. Yep. You know it.
Thank you, Dave. That was really great. Thank you.
Awesome. Hope you guys enjoyed. All right. Heck yeah.